I think so. Thank you, Clive.
But we need to hurry.
Black shields. Is this some sort of twisted joke? There has only ever been one order of shields in Rosaria, and they fought to defend all her citizens.
Seems a step too far, even for the Empire.
Enough!
We're almost there. We might need to fight the spiders though. Just maybe. Depends on if we find a plant here. Yes.
Are we too late?
There might still be someone inside.
Well, maybe the abbot. Oh, everyone is dead.
No.
Damn it.
I thought you lot were all spent.
Murderers. They drove the bearers to this.
Wait. These two aren't turned.
That bitch of an innkeeper must have sent them. Colluding with the enemies of the Empire is a serious offense.
And for their crimes shall they be punished. Such is the law. To dwell in darkness that we may purge the night and welcome lasting dawn. On these our swords we swear.
How dare you speak those words? Have you no honor?
Clive.
This won't take long. Is that all of them?
I think so.
We just got something new there. Can I see what that is? No, I cannot.
I didn't see the abbot. He may still be alive.
Found her.
The abbot.
The bearers died protecting him. Calling upon what little magic they had left in their bodies.
Clive. He's breathing.
We're friends of Martha. We're here to help.
Are the Imperials dead?
They are. Every last one.
If only that were true. The Black Shields will return. The cullings will continue. Rosaria will never be saved unless we save her. Tell Mother to beg Cid's aid and tell her this wasn't her fault.
I shall.
Cid! Where are you? Cid!
In here! We found a survivor!
Clive,
He's gone.
he's gone.
We've laid the abbot to rest, but the bearers, they didn't need to die like this.
No, they didn't. But it was their choice. They knew the fate that awaited them and chose to meet it on their terms, fighting for those who fought for them.
Martha said they rose from their beds, threw themselves at the Imperials so she and the abbot could escape.
I've gathered the bearers' remains. We should consign them to the tide.
There's a drawbridge not far from here. Radix Jump. The currents there are swift. If the abbot was still with us, he'd have taken the dust there himself and performed the casting. I'll get someone to...
I'll do it.
Of course. Cole and I will remain here and see to the Imperials.
Spiders. Now, which way do we need to take for that? Need to go around this entire... okay. Then around we go. What the hell is this? Bounty? Notorious marks. Every now and then, Clive may encounter creatures larger, faster, and more ferocious than most. While fight is always an option, defeating these notorious marks can earn him not only renown, but also rare materials he can use to craft new gear or upgrading existing items.
Think it's spotted us, Torgal? What am I saying? Of course it has. It's a floating eyeball.
Damn, this one is hard.
Too slow. Nice try. Too slow.
There we go. So that green thing is renown.
You didn't see that coming. That must be the bridge. So shall the waters cleanse thee of thy burden, and bear it out to sea.
And now they are truly free.
I hope so. What of the Imperials?
A pyre was made. It's more than they deserve. We should go back. Cole is worried about Martha.
All right.
Well, I guess we can fast travel there.
We're best off staying where we are for now, I reckon.
No one survived then?
I'm sorry. Before he passed, one of them bade me tell you not to blame yourself.
Doesn't mean I won't. Doesn't mean their blood's not on my hands. Cole said you cast their remains. That was good of you. But it should have been me. This was all my fault.
How? You couldn't have known.
But I did. And I turned a deaf ear to the warnings like the fool I am. The rumors started moons ago. Of black-clad devils descending on villages in the dead of night to slit the throats of sleeping bearers. But I assumed it was all just nonsense concocted by the Empire. Nothing but a ghost story meant to make folk think twice about lending a hand to a fugitive bearer.
And in ordinary times you would have been right. What these Black Shields are doing is unthinkable. Which begs the question, why do it at all? My mother obviously has a hand in this. I cannot make sense of her actions.
And picking what goes on in that woman's head is a job for someone with more time on their hands. Right now, I need swords and men to wield them, preferably big ones. If those Imperials think they can come in here again and threaten my people, they're in for a rude awakening. Oh, before I forget, a Stolas from Otto landed just before you arrived. He asked me to tell you that Gav has returned.
Then we must as well. Will you be all right here, Martha?
We can stay longer if you wish.
No need. I'll be ready should the Imperials come calling. Though I wouldn't turn my nose up if you were to lend me a pair of them strapping young curse breakers.
Well, we can, I guess. Right?
Those poor souls died to give me a chance to save others. I won't let their sacrifice be in vain.
We do have side missions here, but that can wait.
Now, where's Gav?
I hear there's trouble. But none of the curse breakers have returned.
Ah, Clive! Oh, I've missed that scowl.
Where's my report?
What, no kind words for your old pal Gav?
If it's kind words you're after, you're fishing in the wrong barrel. Now sit down, you fool.
So, you remember how quick the Empire was to occupy the Dominion after the fall of Drake's head? And how pissed off all the other nations were that they didn't think to do it first?
Half a century of independence gone at the whim of a madman. So much for their bloody treaty.
Clearly, the promise of unblighted land and the world's supply of crystals was too much for his radiance to resist. And now the Republic's finally decided to follow suit, using liberation as an excuse to declare war on Sambrek. Lined up right outside the Dominion's gates as we speak, looking to starve the Imperials into submission.
And now all eyes are on the Strait of Author.
Well, the two nations beat their shields. The rest sharpen their daggers, ready to set upon the war-weary victor. They'll never see us coming.
Where are we going?
It's time we moved on the Mother Crystals.
Well, yeah, but where are we starting?
4 Mother Crystals remain in Storm and Ash. Drake's Breath near Ironhome. Drake's Fang in Dhalmekia. Drake's Spine in Waloed. And Drake's Tail here in the Crystalline Dominion.
With the bulk of the Republican army marching to Twinside, Drake's Fang will be left exposed.
That is exactly the move Kupka would anticipate. And if there is anything these past 5 years have taught us, is that he loves his traps. There There is one place, however, where nobody will be expecting us to go.
Drake's breath.
Yeah.
There's a shitload of sea between us and it, and I've never been much of a swimmer.
I have an acquaintance in Port Isolde who may be able to help.
Who's that then?
My uncle, Byron Rosfield.
Lord Byron Rosfield of the Seven High Houses, the trade magnate with holdings in over 100 cities. Wait, Rosfield. And you're a Rosfield, of course.
My uncle's name gave him his start in the world, but it was his acumen which earned him his fortune, along with a handsome fleet of ships.
Well, it's settled then. What are we waiting for, eh? Huh?
So we're going for the one that is closest to the capital, is it? Like where we began? Well, we know what the reports are. The hunt board and the patron's whisper, however, we don't know.
What are we waiting for, indeed?
Oh, look!
Those men didn't hurt Martha, did they?
Think it's alright to touch him?
Back, are ya? What do you want? That it? Fine.
I'm just finding my way around there. I think it's this way.
That broom's as ragged as
So Martha's all right.
Yep.
Oh, Clive! Welcome to the Patron's Whisper.
The Patron's Whisper? Does that mean someone else is taking care of our friend's donations?
Oh no, that's still me. It's just Karen has her toll, Blackthorn has his hammer. I thought a new name might liven things up. I still catalogue every item that arrives, in addition to setting aside those tokens of appreciation the sender has specified are to be presented to you personally. Would you like to see if we have any?
Sure.
Your benefactors are a generous lot.
Completing side quests will earn Clive renown. Inspiring nameless benefactors from across the twins and donate money or items to Clive's cause. Okay. So, okay, well, we have this one. Accept donation.
All yours. All done?
What's the matter, Nectar? The hunt board? It's where the curse breakers post sightings of particularly fearsome beasts. Those that might pose a threat to our operations if they were left to roam free. Just because they can't be dealt with when they're spotted, doesn't mean they can't be dealt with later. Was that what you wanted to know? Right. Well, leaving your mightiness aside for the moment, the people of Valisthea are going through a lot already. What with the Blight and the war, the last thing they need is ungodly fiends terrorizing them on top of everything else. So if the Cursebreakers are too busy to help, then perhaps I can. Or at least I can try.
Well, let's see what we have. We defeated one already, so we know what they are. Okay. The Broken Hilt, Rosaria, Sambrek, Winged Harpy. Okay. Well, we defeated a C one. That's a B one. How much harder that will be, I don't know.
And how may I assist you today?
Allow me to educate you.
But speaking with Vivian in the Hideaway's map room, Clive can view the state of the realm and learn more about the current going-ons in Valisthea. Revisit any of the Ninetales' past lessons or take a deeper look at the relationships of those individuals in Clive's orbit. Situation map.
I have the details here.
He can view detailed visualization of character relationship in Final Fantasy 16. Okay. So we need to go. Yeah.
Here's the latest information I have.
There we go, much better. We have no idea what that is yet. Mysterious being. I think that is a dragon, right? Okay. Let's go back a bit.
Very good.
Summoning the journey to Hawk's Cry Cliff.
Do you think it was wise to leave, Gav? He didn't seem pleased.
I needed his eyes and nose in Dhalmekia. I'm not about to let Kupka take us unawares. Besides, he has a knack for that sort of thing.
That he does.
And wasn't it Sid who said that matters such as these are best left to dominance? Especially should one of his beloved opportunities to grow and change present itself.
I always knew that I would return one day. Return to Ironhome.
For what?
After learning the truth, you were given the chance to face your past. If I am to continue at your side, I must do the same.
We will face it together then.
To the end.
Come on.
Well, look at that over there. That's the castle, isn't it?
How far do you think your mother's reach extends? Will we find the same tragedy in the south as we did at Martha's Rest?
More than likely. Which is why we should hurry. There are still many settlements between here and Port Isolde. We visit as many as we can and hear their stories. Starting with the village of Amber.
I think we are supposed to have a bounty somewhere around here, but I don't know exactly where. No, no, it's not here. I don't. Where is it? No, I don't think so. Okay, I cannot quite remember. It's not that one over there, is it? No. It's not that one.
We're not alone.
Farewell.
It appears we have passed where we needed to go. But no, it was not what we it was not one of those bounties or whatever.
mockery of justice is what it is. Lord Elwyn would never have stood for this.
Quiet, you! Nothing, we're loyalists.
Jill, look.
Rosaria must be cleansed of the stain which befouls her, that she might rise once again from the ashes to welcome a new dawn. 'Twould be a pity to make examples of you all, for the transgressions of but a handful.
Of course, your lordship. You shall have our full cooperation.
What business could the Black Shields have in a village this small? There's barely room to hide a bearer.
Then they must be here for something else.
You fancy dancing a gallows jig like the miller's son?
All right.
Merchant.
I ain't got much, but what's mine is yours.
Well, you have... What do you mean you don't have much? You have nothing. It's a bit expensive, isn't it? What's that? Instant restores all HP. Well, we can buy that.
You won't be disappointed.
10,000 is still a bunch, to be honest. I wanna wait with that.
Much obliged. Keep to the roads now.
Excuse me, but what was all that about earlier?
You haven't heard? Someone's been stirring up trouble. There have been attacks on the garrison, supplies stolen. They even say a Black Shield was murdered. The Empire wants answers, and what the Empire wants, the Empire gets.
Don't they just?
Keep your ears open, eh? The Black Shields will pay good coin for information on the culprits. You'd have to be dull as a sack of stones to think you could take on the Empire. What with their 100 followers? You seen him, didn't you?
I'm sorry.
The Black Shields. Just now. You seen them, didn't you? At least I think there was a Black Shields. Can't say I ever saw one before.
Was this the first time they visited the village?
What do you think? Amber's the arse end of nowhere. And they thought we might be harboring firebrands. Huh. If only we were. I might have turned them in and become a Black Shield myself.
You don't think these firebrands the Empire is looking for could be us, do you?
I don't know. But we need to find out. Greetings, friend. We are travelers.
I know that. What do you want?
We couldn't help noticing those Imperial soldiers who were here earlier.
Don't you go telling these strangers a thing. I speak for the people of this village, and we have nothing more to say to you. You are to leave Amber and never come back.
May I at least ask why?
I don't know who you are or what brings you here, but your presence puts us all in grave danger. The Empire is a harsh master. Its demands are great, and its justice swift. But as long as we keep our heads down and pay our tributes, we are left alone. Some might call it submission. But if it will spare my people the Viceroy's wrath, then I will gladly submit. This village will not become another East Pool.
Then we shall be on our way. These people live with a knife to their throats. In the mistaken belief that if they cooperate, my mother will show them mercy.
Obedience bought with fear.
Are you all right?
Sorry, It's nothing. We still don't know who the Black Shields are looking for.
Well, whoever they are, The Imperials deem them worth pursuing to the back of beyond. But other than Martha, who else in Rosari would have the courage to stand against the Empire? A new ally would certainly be welcome. Can we find them before the Imperials do?
Maybe it's his uncle.
Perhaps the next village will yield more answers.
Perhaps.
This pass will take us through the mountains.
And directly into the path of whoever or whatever lurks here.
Ever since the apothecary, we've seen more and more of these green echoes.
What do you think is waking them? The mother crystal's collapse?
I have an idea. You're not going to like it.
Stay down!
Let's try this way.
Farewell!
What's this?
More of my mother's men.
Oh shit. I was not ready for that. And we need to get across here, right? Blood.
Blood, Clive.
And still wet.
There's a lot of it.
You were told to stay in your homes.
The Black Shields.
You know who we are. And still, you would bear your steel. Why then, we owe you our thanks. You have saved us the trouble of an interrogation. To dwell in darkness, that we may purge the night and welcome lasting dawn. On these, our swords we swear.
Say that again.
Oh, what's happening now? That's weird.
Tell me what I want and the end will be swift. Who are you looking for?
Why, you. We come bearing a message. Your friends have been found. The branded you freed from our camps. They await you in Ordeal. Guardians of the Flame.
Those are Old Hill's gates.
Then we hurry.
The Brandon we saved.
Find something, boy.
Oh, he found something.
Death.
Found her.
Wait, is that those that we... Yeah, it is. Those that we saved.
This was my mother's doing.
But why? Why would anyone?
I don't know. I never truly understood her. But this...
Oh, Clive.
I will learn what madness drives her, and I will end it. We should go.
Yes.
We can't leave them here like this.
We won't. But if the Black Shields have made it this far south, they may already be in Port Isolde.
True that.
We're approaching Buick Bridge. Though I doubt the Empire would let us cross over to Rosalith.
Well, someone is up there.
Didn't happen to come by way of Oldhill, did you? Saw some Imperials clad in black making for the docks just the other day.
They tell us there's a curfew.
Passage to the provincial capital is restricted to Imperial army.
They're all Rosarian.
But this is their home.
Well, they're being tossed out. Is it a memorial?
The Lazarus. What happened to this place?
My mother happened. The nobles who lived here didn't stand a chance. Let's hope my uncle fared better.
Can we go inside?
Stop the main gate and see where that gets us.
Okay, we cannot go in here.
That's the main gate. And it looks like we're not the only ones hoping to get in.
It looks like it's barricaded.
Let us pass! My children are starving!
Have mercy.
Viceroy's dogs they are! You can't ignore us forever!
Let us in, or we'll die on your doorstep!
Better out there than in here!
Oh, get enough rhetoric!
Hang the chinless bastards. Those crystals belong to us all.
I said, where were you, filth? Back to your sties! Cut you down where you stand! Just try it!
No chance of slipping through unnoticed. We'll need to find another way in. I thought we might be able to reason with the guards. Or at least bribe them.
I suspect everyone in that crowd thought the same. Was that the only way in?
Officially, yes. Strictly speaking, no. My uncle once told me that the nobles had tunnels built, so that they could visit town without having to walk amongst the rabble. The Lazarus. We'll find our way into the city there.
If you're sure. And the entire place looked abandoned. Do you think it's safe?
As long as it is abandoned.
Well, he does have a point.
The good news is we haven't seen a single black shield since Old Hill.
Maybe they found who they were looking for.
So now we use...
This is nothing like I remember it.
How quickly a crown can lose its luster.
We need to find like a hidden place for a tunnel.
Not abandoned then.
Oi! Visitors!
Apologies. We'll show ourselves out.
Oh.
Not.
Well, that was easy.
I've only ever seen one man fight like that. And he's long dead.
Oh.
Then perhaps it's time you joined him.
The blessing of the Phoenix. It
Wade?
can't be.
Wade.
I was there when you died.
It's Wade, isn't it?
Forgive me, my lord. I knew not whom I addressed. You have naught to fear from us. Founder, it really is you.
It is. So wait.
We can speak inside.
What does that mean? The other guy is also alive. It's Sir Tyler? What's his name?
And those who wouldn't bend the knee?
We left before the Empire could make examples of us, though we didn't go far. And we banded together to form the Guardians of the Flame soon after. Alas, there is only so much a handful of aging shields can do against the might of an empire. But we've seen to it that their stay has been anything but pleasant. Of late, though, we've had our hands full just trying to keep the Duchy's few remaining bearers out of the Imperial's clutches.
The Cullings. We saw what happened in Old Hill.
Aye. The foul work of the Black Shields and their mistress.
You mean my mother? But it doesn't make sense. Even knowing what I know about her. Her hatred for bearers was no secret, but she wouldn't have been ignorant of their value to the realm.
No offense, my lord. But in case you haven't noticed, the Lady Annabella couldn't care less about the realm. She barely even cares for her own home. That much has been plain since the slaughter at Eastpool. And, since granting the Holy Emperor a new heir, her obsession with bearers only seems to have grown. As to why, I don't know. Maybe she can't bear the thought of anyone having the power to challenge her beloved son.
Her son.
Sir Wade, the Black Shields have broken camp. They march in full force for Buick Bridge.
Then so do we.
Make ready.
This is their main host. If we remove the head, perhaps we can prevent what happened at the docks from happening somewhere else. If I do nothing, then the blood of their next victims will be on my hands.
Yours and ours. We too have witnessed the crimes these men who dare call themselves shields have committed in my mother's name. It cannot be allowed to continue. We must put a stop to this madness.
We must. So let us go with you. For the good of Rosaria.
I was hoping you'd say that. Very well. If that is your wish, I would be honored to serve at your side.
And we at yours.
So, Wade, let us do our duty.
With pleasure, my lord.
I imagine this endeavor will require more than just our wits.
Then let's hope Sir Wade has a good quartermaster.
Well, let's hope.
Allow me to tend to your needs, my lord. It has been an honor.
Tell us then, Sir Wade. What is your plan?
Nothing fancy. You, Lady Jill and I make for Buick Bridge and provoke the main host at their encampment. Sensing an opportunity to end the Guardians, the Black Shields will call for reinforcements, who will be met from the rear by parties of my brothers hidden throughout the surrounding hills. This will allow us to wage battle on the bridge without fear of being overwhelmed. While the Black Shields have an advantage in numbers, you see, they prefer to fight in small units, which we can use to our advantage.
How small exactly?
Small enough, now that I have you and Lady Jill for company. I doubt I could have done this on my own.
But until we arrived, that was your plan. You haven't changed a bit.
Sir Wade, the bearers from Old Hill have been laid to rest.
Very good. Now make ready for battle.
As you command.
Thank you, Sir Wade. Perhaps now they will find peace.
There is but one thing which will grant them peace. Putting an end to the Black Shields.
And so we shall.
Throughout the main scenario, Clive will often be joined by various companions who are keen to lend their assistance. However, depending on Clive's destination, they may choose to remain behind at the hideaway. Does that mean we're losing Torgal? Yeah. Are you gonna come with us, boy?
After it.
He's still coming with us.
We'll keep them from the
May the blessing of the Phoenix go with you.
How long have you been pursuing the Black Shields?
Since they burned their first village. We tracked down the bastards responsible and fed their corpses to Stillwind. Suffice to say, that got their attention. It's been a game of cat and mouse ever since.
Well, here we go.
Look at me sideways.
Come along now.
The bastards are lucky on it.
There they are. On your command, my lord.
What is it now? I told you!
We bear a message for the Vicereine. From the Guardians of the Flame.
Ha! You presume to tell us that a pair of filthy vagabonds, a woman and a dog, could guard aught against the might of the Black Shields? Then come! Die along with your flame! For us area!
For us area!
Your petty revolution ends here. On these our swords we swear.
There's a good boy.
Only the captain left.
Bloody hell! Reinforcements from the far bank!
Another wyvern to fight their battles for them.
More dragons.
Worms. The Imperials aren't taking any chances. I can't stay unflanked.
Okay, what's happening? Oh, look at that.
A noble stand, albeit a misguided one. In taking it, you have but proven our point. That this land is in dire need of cleansing.
There's no one left to keep them occupied. We need to finish this.
You mean finish him?
Yeah, we got this, don't worry. Just give it a little time. Imperial Link and Dragon Talon.
I don't see any more.
Nor do I. The plan worked.
It did. It bloody worked. We sent every last one of the rotten bastards straight to the mud. Lord, perhaps this will be enough to stop the Cullings. For the time being, at least.
Perhaps. Though I doubt my mother will take this loss well. She'll move swiftly to see her minions' ranks replenished.
And then it will all begin again. I often wonder if the nation we once knew is gone for good. Her fields rot. Her people starve. We battled to preserve the flame that was, but for every foe we fell, another springs up in its place. Yet be that as it may, it is still our home, and we must fight for it. As we always have, and always will. For as long as the Firebird's flame burns in our hearts, the Duchy cannot die. And her loyal subjects may dream of a day when the Rosarian standard flies over Rosalith once more.
So wait,
Think we should fall back to Port Isolde before the garrison sends reinforcements? A sound strategy, my lord.
And how long has my uncle been funding you and your comrades' endeavors?
Since the beginning. Lord Byron was the first person I turned to after forming the Guardians. And had I known of this tunnel back then, I wouldn't almost have been hanged by the city guard for trying to sneak over the wall.
I suppose a formal request for an audience would have appeared suspicious.
And appearances must be maintained. Were the Vice-Regency to catch wind of Lord Byron's involvement in our movement, they'd seize his estate and send him to the gallows, where he would be of no use to anyone. And so, though it sickens him to the soul, he plays the part of the loyal lord, knowing that one wrong move might prove his downfall. It is why he remains ever vigilant. Don't be surprised if he refuses you an audience, especially since you're famously dead.
Then I will have to think of a way to prove that I am neither wraith nor wrongdoer.
I might have something which could help with the latter. It's the mark of the Guardians. Display it, and those who love Rosaria will know where your loyalties lie.
Another mark.
I shall wear it with pride.
Be sure that you do. I don't want my men attacking you again. Unless you deserve it. If only Sir Tyler could have been here to see you. Or the Lord Commander.
Thank you, Sir Wade. If there is ever anything you need.
I know. Go on now, my lord.
Wait, we're inside already?
How accommodating. Do you really think they believe we are who we say we are?
Not a chance. Right, I guess. My uncle believes we're imposters here to rob him. And means to string us up himself.
Imagine my surprise when I was told my nephew had come to visit. Clive Rosfield died long ago. And for uttering his name here, you shall pay with your tongue!
We have nothing here.
You would mock me as well?
It is I, Sir Crandall of Camelot, loyal servant to Her Serene Holiness, Saint Sybil the Unshod. Meadow, thou vile sorcerer, for thy crimes against church and crown, I shall have thy head.
Curse thee, infectious flax wench. Even in death, must thou plague me still? Very well. I shall open the gates of hell, that thou might see thy charge once more.
Bravo, Uncle. You're still the finest Meadow in the twins.
Oh, Clive, my dear boy, it's really you. You always were fond of that scene from The Saint and the Sanctuary. Never did let me play Sir Crandall.
I have a favor to ask, Uncle Byron.
Rutherford, inform the kitchens. There'll be guests. We dine immediately.
But, Uncle...
You can't very well regale me with the tale of your miraculous preservation on an empty stomach. Go on, sit.
Let's give that to him.
See that you use the good plates, Rutherford.